If you could choose one person or musician, living or dead, and be with them for 5 minutes, who would you choose and why?
Of course, I'm going to have a contrary answer here because I would almost certainly, if the question wasn't so well defined, I almost certainly wouldn't choose a musician. As much as I venerate all the guys in the in the books behind me here,
Sounds fair.
there is there really is so much more to life than music, despite the fact it is so incredible and so important. That being
Yeah.
said, you've asked what musician. I really don't know, but if we jump on to Beethoven, I would want to spend that 5 minutes. Apart from feeling what I imagine was an incredible magnetism, less in stature as I perceive it, more in terms of an incredible bursting energy, I imagine. Um, I would just want to absorb that, but I would like to try to, in that 5 minutes with them, I would like to understand how he got the conviction that he must have had to live at a time, a revolutionary time, and yet be the absolute leading voice in music for pushing and revolution in every note of every bar. It is just turning the screw forwards, intensely driven, very integrity driven is what I feel. And I would like to ask him, what how did you muster that much conviction?
Hello, everyone. My name is Sheila del Bosque, and I'm a flutist, conductor, and composer originally from Cuba. I'm also one of the fellows at OAcademy 2024, and I'm so excited to be here because we're going to have a wonderful interview with Scott Wilson, our director of the Carlos Miguel Prieto Fellowship and also head of the orchestral studies at OAcademy. So, welcome, Scott. So nice to have you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here and great to be chatting to you, Shayla.
I'm so excited, because this is kind of a different setting, right? You're always the one leading our sections and the one interviewing our guest artists. And today, people want to know more about you and our conducting fellowship. So I'm so excited to have you.
Yeah, it's terrific. And it's great that we get this opportunity to talk about this very unique opportunity that is the Carlos Miguel Prieto Conducting Fellowship. Beyond that, also to celebrate not only its uniqueness, but its fantastic educational opportunity and its really wonderful contribution now to the world of training conductors and conductors of the future.
Why don't you tell us a little bit of how does this work? What is a day-to-day session? What are our studies? We have orchestral study, historical performance. So many topics, so many subjects that we're delving into that. So share a little bit about what we are doing, and definitely we just can talk more about it, right?
Yeah, well, you know, it still remains fascinating. It's laid its foundation now, 4 years in, which is a great feeling to get to, where it is up and running really properly. Like, it was a scramble at the start because, of course, it comes out of COVID and the lockdowns which happened all over the world, and a great vision of the executive of the Orchestra of the Americas to set up a program online and very, very quickly into the early parts of the pandemic. And suddenly we had a deadline to have an online conservatoire up and running, and an incredible scramble the first year, incredible energy and an incredible achievement from the team to get this thing to happen. I, I can't speak for my colleagues, but certainly I thought, well, we'll do this year. If this COVID thing's still going next year, of course it'll happen again. But then it will obviously stop, and we all thought that over so many things, not least even the way we're communicating now. Zoom suddenly became a thing, and then we thought it would be gone again. But what is incredible is that, like other examples too, something was tapped into that, hey, this is an incredible resource to provide high level music education with far less barriers than would typically be the case, um, even if you talk about practical things like very often the need to leave home or move away from home to big cities, perhaps even internationally, because that's where musicians gather, because that's where the work is. So if you want to go study with a master, you've got to move to a great city, and then you will then be exposed within a conservatoire environment, within a university environment. That need and that huge expense of doing that is virtually gone. We also have this incredible opportunity to connect with an abundance of very high profile musicians who simply haven't had time to do a great deal of educating because they're so busy flying all over the world as performers. And of course, during COVID, they didn't have anything to do, so we could get them. But even now that
Totally.
it's set up, we are very happy to be able to attract such wonderful faculty, because for them, it's just simply logging onto their computer, whether they're at home, in their hotel room, whether they're backstage. We've had people logging on just before their concerts. We've had them logging on when
Totally.
they're
Just
been away
running.
from
Hey.
home. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we are convenient, whereas
Hmm.
a stop in to a major university or conservatoire for these kinds of people has something they've been able to do once a year, whereas they can stop in with us much more easily. And so it's attractive to them. So it's attractive for faculty. It's attractive for students because of the faculty, but also because of its lack of barriers, excluding, of course, for want of a better word, talent. We are still auditioning, and really auditioning competitively. So beyond that, the OAcademy was set up, and we tried to put essentially orchestras online, and we do classes diving deeply into composers and repertoire, and more strictly in terms of the conducting fellowship. This presented an opportunity to start something from the ground up, and that meant that with the team, I was able to develop a fellowship based on things that, first of all, I'm passionate about, but things that are clearly important for the health and future of this industry at the moment. So the industry being classical music. And the thing that I would say is no audience equals no art form. We have to
Hmm.
start communicating about the value of classical music much more broadly, in a way that is positive, inspiring, not elitist, and bringing people in, opening the door. It just so happens that the most public people in classical music, also those who are also rewarded most handsomely, so they have the means, are conductors. So
Yeah.
conductor training of the future, of the now for the future, surely has to be driven by a celebration of the art form. And so we can't only be training people who conductors must be technically accomplished, they must be deeply musical, but we must also bring in a screening process for the personality type and the integrity-driven desire to promote the art form for the celebration of the art form itself, as opposed to the celebration of me, the conductor. So in setting up this course, which is driven by the question, first of all, the statement, no audience, no art form, and then the
Yeah.
question, what are the qualities that define the music directors of the future? I was able to develop a course that every single step of it is solely focused on that objective. So if we're doing a technique class, in the back of my mind is absolutely the road to that, the musical leaders of the future. If we're doing a class on repertoire, we are honing it towards the questions about that repertoire that are relevant to that fundamental principle. What are the qualities of the music directors of the future? And this starts from the very beginning. One of the things of which I'm most proud is that the course has as its application procedure several steps which are absolutely identical for every single applicant. And this is incredibly rare within conducting. Most applications, it's a CV and then videos. But this sets up an unhealthy premise from the beginning. You get anyone from doing conducting two pianos, doing some classical repertoire, right
Yeah.
through to someone who has the means to hire a 100-piece professional orchestra in a studio and record them doing a Mahler symphony. How is it possible to evaluate, first of all, the technical and musical capacity of these two very different people? And we're talking of many different applications. It's very, very difficult when panel members are put in that position, trying to evaluate people who are all competing on a different playing field. Um, and then that process is very often leaving aside some of the most pressing questions that are going to sit on music directors' shoulders now and in the future, which is questions of leadership and questions of industry change for the future. So we've set up our application process so it remains absolutely the same for everyone for multiple steps. And then you can then submit more or less a bonus. Show us also yourself on video. So the questions and videos that everyone must submit the same is a really helpful way of making sure we really attract fantastic potential future leaders in classical music. I think it leads to a course that's integrity driven and which also attracts. One of the premises as well is that we're trying to and achieving attracting musicians who are musicians first, who see their role as being a musician first. And then it just so happens that they have then realized their skill set is suited towards leadership. So one of the things, again, that we are most proud of now being a few years in and now seeing the success of just even recent graduates doing tremendous things, multiple assistant conductor positions, doing achievements in competitions, in being taken on by leading conductors as their associate conductors. These achievements are already validating the process that we've put in place, which is about celebrating the fact that you must be, in order to be a conductor, you absolutely must build your foundation on being a musician first, a deeply invested musician who then happens to conduct. And that is, for me, one of the big strengths of our course, because conducting has the potential for exploitation. For we all know there could potentially be a charlatan aspect to conducting, and instead, if you base yourself on a foundation of musicianship driven integrity and then develop into a conductor, I think we get those music directors of the future that we are so desperately trying to train in this course.
Wow, so many incredible things here, so many insights into this, and I'm so grateful, first of all, for being part of that because it's such an amazing community, and I can't believe I'm having access to all that. Really, it is such a great thing to have. And from my home, from the commodity of just my home and connecting with the computer, having access to top musicians, of course, including you around the world with these, amazing topics. So thank you for all the amazing work you are doing. I think it's just great. And at the same time, I was thinking the power of music education. And we were already talking a little bit about that and how that can change people's life. It changed my life when I'm thinking about how music changed my life. Thanks to music, I'm here. I started to study music when I was very little. I was around 9 years old. And then thanks to music, I was just like traveling around the world. Thanks to music, I'm here. We are here, right? And it's such a powerful tool to have. So you believe like music education can change people's life?
And look, you are a credit to the fellowship, and exactly the the exact kind of person we hope, someone who's already a very distinguished musician, instrumentalist, and is bringing more than just that musicianship, but bringing the communication skills, bringing also the empathy and the warmth, but also the backbone and conviction and willingness to take command, which the conductor must have. So you're already encapsulating all those qualities. On top of that, you've mentioned music education a few times, and this also ties into our question of music directors of the future. It just seems to me that it's just not going to cut it in the future if conductors only conduct. And having an interest, the job of the conductor is so huge. Literally, no one can do all of the
It
things that
is.
one would want to be able to do. But at least having a depth of awareness of all the roles that potentially a music director might need, and then having some or multiple avenues where you are an expert on, and one of them could be music education. Music directors of the future surely need to be tapped into the music education programs of the orchestras that they lead. Orchestra as center of its community and its leader, its leadership. The music director, the most public-facing member of the organization, surely taking responsibility for things more than just the concerts, taking responsibility for the musicians, taking responsibility for the artistic health of the education program. And of course, they're supported by incredible teams of the musicians themselves, but the administrative team, and even the senior leadership of the administrative team. Of course, they appoint the music director, but it's an unusual thing whereby the music director is the public-facing person of the organization. So even if they don't, for want of a better phrase, have the most power in the organization, they absolutely are the public face. And so as part of this fellowship, training future music directors who have the skill set in all this leadership, as well as the technical foundation, as well as the depth of musicianship and the knowledge of repertoire. It seems to me it's going to have to be this way. We all as musicians, we have that unfortunate challenge on our shoulders at the moment, which is no audience, no art form. All of us must be doing our bit.
Yeah.
But if the public-facing conductor doesn't have that wider skill set where they can bring people on board, we could be in trouble.
Totally. And if I actually ask you, what was the best piece of advice you got as a conductor? What could
Um,
that be?
yeah. So, best piece of advice. I'm going to quote my two most important teachers, although I'm fortunate to have really so many others who have given great, more short-term, condensed advice, working with them on a project or whatever. But the two that I work with over many, many years, one of them popped in when I was doing one of my first rehearsals ever. And he took me out during the break and he just said, let the musicians play. That was an incredibly important piece of advice for me. I was trying, young, full of energy, trying to make it perfect. And he just said, no. Musicians want to play. Let them play. And it really focused me on that rehearsal technique is all about, at the moment that it is ready for it, the ensemble needs the instruction. That's the point, to give them the instruction that unlocks the challenges before. The instruction helping all the other problems just in one instruction, and also allowing musicians to do what they like to do, which is play. That's where they get their happiness, enjoyment. That's where they learn as they share with each other. The other piece of advice by another great teacher of mine, a piece of advice she gives to many students, is to receive the sound. This is such a great piece of advice. On the one hand, it means that we are being respectful to the musicians who are playing for us. By receiving their sound, you're not pushing on them. You are receiving and acknowledging the fact that we make no sound at all. So you are receiving and celebrating their sound. I love the other side of it too, which is there is no question that the conductor is an autocrat, hopefully an empathetic one or a benevolent one. Certainly, I advocate for that. But we are absolutely in charge. When you receive the sound, you don't go pleading with the musicians to play for you. Instead, you receive their sound, and that is a small mark of authority, because you play for me, I am not coming for you. I'm not going to plead with you to play for me. I'm not going to hope you play for me. And I think that very gentle authority of just knowing your place, which is to lead, is very good as well.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm gonna try to apply it now. And this is absolutely an amazing advice. Scott, I think we're running out of time, but
Okay.
this was such a wonderful interview. We talk about music education, about life journey and music outside of classical music. We talk about the fellowship, the Carlos Miguel Prieto Fellowship, the importance of being a leader, of being a conductor of this time, of all the qualities of the conductor of this time. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all the wonderful work you're doing. I'm so grateful to be part of this team, to be part of this community, and can't wait to our final weeks of the OAcademy 2024.
Shayla, look, the pleasure is absolutely mine. I am grateful for you too being part of our program. How lucky we are to have you and a series of incredibly dynamic, interesting, unique, and vibrant, exceptional musicians that we have in our cohort this year and previously. So the pleasure is mine to speak to you in this more relaxed and informal setting, and to share our thoughts and our beliefs on music. It's been a real pleasure and enjoyable.